Welcome guys, and thank you for joining me on this late live stream that I have going on today. The reason I'm coming to you guys so late today in the day is because when you're used to doing a video pretty much every day of the week and you get really busy, you kind of just feel weird if you don't put something out, especially when big things are coming up, especially in the financial space. You kind of just want to put a video out and just kind of share your thoughts with the audience, because you guys have definitely been taking a lot of our videos and acting on it, which makes me really excited. And today we're going to talk about the rumors that are floating around about Apple possibly buying Bitcoin in mass, a lot, $5 billion worth. Is that an accurate number? Could it be less? Could it be more? We're going to get into all of that today. I'm going to answer a couple of questions for you. Why Apple must, in my opinion, must buy Bitcoin. They have to buy Bitcoin in 2021. It's almost kind of like a guarantee. And I'm going to share with you guys some predictions that I made a few weeks ago. I think it was January 6th. I made some predictions about Tesla, and two of them have already came true. I'm going to play that video for you guys later on in this segment. I'm also going to talk to you guys about what it could do for the Apple stock, what it could really do for Apple if Apple decided to go heavy on Bitcoin and throw it on their balance sheets. And I'm also going to talk to you guys what it will do to Bitcoin's price if Apple decides to take a bite out of Elon's playbook and put that on their balance sheets. This is going to be a good one, guys. So definitely stick around and ask me any questions that you may have. I'll take a break from time to time and check in on your questions. So first, let me just start off by saying that there has been a, let's see, I have it here. Yeah. There was a recent article, and this is where I think everyone's getting their information from. There's a bunch of articles that came out recently, but in particular, there was a gentleman by the name of Paul Stevens, who had basically, he was one of the first people who forecasted that Tesla would be taking this move into Bitcoin, and he was 100% right. And he also put together a thesis of why he thinks that Apple would do the same. He's an analyst from the Royal Bank of Canada, Dominion Securities. His name is Paul Stevens, like I mentioned earlier. Let me go over why he thinks that it would be a good idea for Apple to go ahead and do this. So while putting this video together, I did a lot of research on this, and I came to realize that Apple brings in about $273 billion on a yearly basis in income. So what more could they possibly need? I mean, they have the most valuable company in the entire planet, right? The entire world. What more possibly could Apple even ask for? But when I did the digging, what I found was that Apple can actually put another $40 billion on their books by just adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet and utilizing Bitcoin in a way where it could intertwine it with the infrastructure they already have. Now, let me explain to you what I mean by that, okay? So $40 billion represents roughly about 13 to 15% of their annual revenue anyway. So it's a pretty big chunk. It's a pretty significant chunk, but it can have a humongous impact than just adding more revenue to the company. I'll explain to you guys what I mean by that. Let me start off by telling you that Square, which is a company I think a lot of you have heard of, Square, Jack Dorsey, the founder, the CEO over there, he decided to take this same path earlier in 2020, and he went ahead and purchased how much did he purchase? I think he purchased like about $25 million worth of Bitcoin at that time. Well, Square has about 30 million users that use Square, right? And Square I apologize. Square actually brought in $1.6 billion in revenue just from Bitcoin in the Q3 of 2020. So they brought in a humongous amount of money from just having Bitcoin as part of their business model. So what they do with Bitcoin, if you guys are not familiar with Square's model, is that they use it as a wallet. So you can buy, you can sell, you can send, you can do whatever you want to do with Bitcoin and Ethereum and things like that with crypto on their platform, which is amazing. It's great. So just by doing that, they put on an additional $1.6 billion on just the Q3 third quarter in 2020 alone, right? And like I mentioned earlier, Square has 30 million active users. Now, Apple has 1.65 billion potential users, and because that's how many iPhones are out there, guys. And there's going to be even more iPhones coming up this year for a number of reasons, because of people are upgrading to 5G. Everyone wants to get on that Clubhouse app, which is only native to the iPhone, so that's going to make more iPhone sales come around. And it's going to give Apple the opportunity to now have this humongous base to market their version of a wallet. But guess what? Apple already has that. Apple has Apple Pay. They have the Apple Wallet. But no one really uses that Apple Wallet, right? I mean, I don't know too many people to use the Apple Wallet for sure. But this could really make it a viable thing for a lot of people to use, because if it's now a cryptocurrency wallet, well, that adds a new luster to Apple's whole wallet setup that they have that no one really cares for. You guys know that when Apple does anything, they're usually not the first ones to market with stuff. So they weren't the first ones to market with a tablet. They weren't the first ones to market with a smartphone. Even the what is that? That little shuffle thing, the music shuffle, the iPod. Yeah, that was an iPod thing. They were never the first ones with any of this technology, but they were the best ones. They were usually the ones that made the best product. So I feel that if Apple gets their hands on a wallet, they're really going to revolutionize it, and they're really going to make it kind of like a stable play for anyone to accept payment that way. And I don't mean just like peer-to-peer, friend-to-friend. I'm talking about merchants, like humongous amounts of merchants, just like PayPal is doing, just like Square is allowing you to do. But now if Apple comes on the scene with that, I think it's going to be good, guys. I think it's going to be humongous for Apple. It really would allow for Bitcoin and crypto to go mainstream, humongous mainstream adoption at that point, because it just becomes in the fabric, it just becomes part of the DNA. And I'll tell you why, because a lot of the ones that the forerunners, they came before Apple, and that's to say if Apple does decide to do this move, which I feel it eventually will do this move sooner than later. If you look at some of the forerunners, let's look at MicroStrategies, right? MicroStrategies was one of the biggest acquisitions this year for Bitcoin. It was a major institution, big time company. Their business really wasn't doing much. As a matter of fact, I'll go through the chart with you guys in just a second. They really weren't doing much, but no one outside of the cryptocurrency space really paid much attention to what MicroStrategy did. And MicroStrategy took on a big chunk of Bitcoin, guys. I'll go over the numbers with you guys. It was staggering, but no one really cared. No one really made a big fuss about it. And then you also had PayPal. You had Square, both kind of do the same thing, and it kind of flew under the radar. No one really found out about it. And now we have Tesla taking a humongous chunk of Bitcoin, of $1.5 billion, and putting it on their balance sheet. And now it's starting to really get attention from the people that are decision makers, shot callers, CEOs, boards of companies that are looking at this and saying, wait a minute, not only is this a store of wealth, but it's also a way to gain more of a return as an investment on our money that's sitting on our balance sheet. Because let's be honest, guys, any cash that's sitting in your bank account, that's sitting on a balance sheet somewhere, is just like they said, it's a melting ice cube. That's what it is. It's deteriorating as days go by. It's eroded by inflation. But when you have something of value, something that is not being replicated, such as gold or Bitcoin and things like that, it stores its wealth. But in Bitcoin's case, it's not only a store of wealth, but it's also a finite resource that everyone on this planet one day is going to try to get their hands on. And it's starting right now with the institutions. So a lot of companies are going to follow suit because they respect Apple in a way that they didn't respect Tesla. Well, a lot of people respect Tesla, but there's a lot of Tesla haters, a ton of Tesla haters. Probably more because they hate Elon and they just hate on the fact that he's so successful and so smart. Then you've got, you know, the other companies, they were kind of like not really big deals. So now that Apple, if and when Apple does this, a lot of people are going to finally cave, and they're just gonna, it's gonna be wider adoption because of who Apple is. I mean, Apple is Apple. I can't put it any other way besides just saying that they're just going to have more clout and more influence over this really getting accepted into everyday business, everyday transactions. All right, so now let's talk about this. Buying Bitcoin would be more profitable than doing a stock buyback, right? So, you know, companies at times do stock buybacks in order to make their stock appear more valuable. And, you know, companies do this from time to time, and it really doesn't do much for the company besides take away some shares off the open market, so that way the value goes up. Then you got some value that goes up because there's less shares around. But if a company like Apple, or, you know, who has $200 billion on their balance sheet, if a company like Apple, instead of taking that money and buying back shares, let's say, and they just had this money sitting around, right? Instead of doing that, they could easily just go and invest it into Bitcoin, and they would actually get a much better return on their stock value and a much better return on their investment, twofold. So it would be a much better play, and it's a hedge against inflation on top of all of the other things that I just mentioned. Incredible, right? And knowing that Apple has $200 billion in cash on hand, right? If they wanted to, if they just wanted to write a check and say, you know what, screw it, we're just going to take this entire $200 billion and allocate it into Bitcoin. If they did that, they would take up 25% of all available supply, which means they'd be the biggest owner of Bitcoin, period, anyway. But they're not going to do that. Obviously, we know they're not going to do that. As a matter of fact, Tesla, they just did about, in my opinion, I thought Tesla did about 13% of their balance sheet. Someone out there today, Kathy Woods, actually stated they did about 9% of their balance sheet. So somewhere between 9 to 13%. Let's call it 10% Tesla just did of their balance sheet. So pretty big acquisition that they did. Now let's talk about how much Apple could possibly buy if Apple decided to do this. If Apple decided to just take 1% of their balance sheet, that means that they would buy about $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. All right, $2 billion is a pretty big deal. It's more than Tesla just did, and it's pretty much in line with what MicroStrategy already has. If they decided to do a 5% allocation into Bitcoin, then that means they would have about $10 billion worth of Bitcoin. They would do a $10 billion acquisition. If they decided to do what Elon Musk just did, in my calculation, it was about 13%. If they decided to match what Elon did, then they'd be buying about $26 billion worth of Bitcoin. Call it $25 billion worth of Bitcoin, which puts them in line with what a company by the name of NYDIG, New York Digital Investment Group. They're pretty much the biggest fund out there for cryptocurrency acquisitions for wealthy individuals. They're hoping to get the $25 billion under managed assets by the end of 2021. Apple could do this right now if they wanted to, and it would be no sweat for them. They make billions of dollars, guys, a day. I'm sure they wouldn't even feel it, and that's how much power they have. So what would this do for Apple if they decided to go that route? Would Apple really benefit from this more than just having the actual diversification of having the Bitcoin? Well, the stock would definitely improve, in my opinion. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give you some examples here of what I've seen. And if you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and stop me at any time, guys. I'm going to go ahead and give you some examples of what we've seen so far. So I'm going to give you here, we have Square. Square decided to purchase Bitcoin in October 8th, 2020. So let's look back on October 8th, 2020. If we can go to the 1 year, we're October. Let's see, we are somewhere September, October. All right, they decided to do it in somewhere around October. So Square was trading around $145 and about $180 in October. October 7th, they were trading at $180, and they bought Bitcoin on October 8th. So it didn't really have a humongous impact right away on the stock's price. It barely moved. It even took a dip. It went down as low as $155 per share. But then people started to wake up to what Square was actually doing, and then the stock price started to increase, and it started to get higher and higher and higher. And today it's trading at $258 a share. So pretty impressive move from $180 to $258. That's a pretty big, even in a bull run, that's impressive. That's a very good increase in stock value. Now let's take a look at MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is, I'm going to tell you guys right now, is one of those examples that is going to make you fall out of your chair when you realize what you could have invested in just last month, or even in the tail end of 2020, if you would have taken $1,000, what it would be today. Let me just show you what MicroStrategy was able to do with their stock price. So MicroStrategy decided to buy Bitcoin on August 11th. So let's look at September. We are here, August 11th. So August 11th, they decided to buy some Bitcoin. And I don't mean just any Bitcoin. They bought about $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, right? Serious amount of Bitcoin. So because of that, their stock price started to increase, because I don't even know what MicroStrategy does. That's how bad it is. Like, I have no idea what they did. They did something in a line and within the technology realm, but they really weren't that well known, right? They really weren't like on the scene. But as you can see, right after they did that, MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor, the CEO there, started to become almost like these legendary figures, and something that everyone knew who they were. And the stock price kept climbing to 140, 150, 170. And then we started to creep into November 2020. We started to get a 180 realm. And then we had this little spike here to $300. So he basically tripled the value of his company by just putting Bitcoin on his balance sheet. And then, as you can see, when the Bitcoin market started to heat up, his stock price shot up to $500, $600. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this company has a better return on investment than Bitcoin has, because Bitcoin was up 75% right before the announcement that Tesla bought the Bitcoin, but MicroStrategy was up 600-700% in the same time frame. No, I'll take that back. They were up like 800 or 900% in the same time frame from the beginning of the year. So you would have actually did better by investing in MicroStrategy, if that makes any sense to you guys, because their entire balance sheet is basically Bitcoin, and then you would have done by investing in the Bitcoin itself. But today, guys, and yesterday and today, the price of MicroStrategy has gone to $1,272 per share. You could have got these shares for around 100, 120, 150 bucks a few months ago. If you would have bought it in January, you would have got it for 300 bucks. If you would have bought it on February 1st, you could have got it for $600. You would have doubled your money basically in a week. Incredible, right? That is the power of what Bitcoin is doing for these companies. Now, let me give you an example of Tesla. Let me show you what it has done for Tesla in this one day or so that Tesla has announced their investment into Bitcoin. So he announced it yesterday, which was the 8th. So we're here February 8th, 12 p.m., February 8th. All right, so February 8th, the stock was trading at, it had this big jump right here. This is, today's Tuesday. We had this jump right here. This jump, guys, from $848 all the way up to $868. Okay, a $20 jump. Now, let me just tell you, a $20 jump for a company that's worth $800 billion is a big deal. It's not peanuts. The fact that MicroStrategy stock has gone up so fast, it's because their market cap is smaller. Tesla's is ginormous. They're like, what, the 7th or 8th biggest company in the entire world? Huge, this company, to move 20 bucks. But that's not even why I'm excited. Well, right now, as you can see, it rode that little bump for the majority of the day on the 8th, but the value of the stock has actually gone down since then. I even managed to pick up some more shares today because I said, wait a minute, Tesla just announced yesterday that they're investing $1.5 billion into Bitcoin. The stock jumps up $20. Bitcoin does one of these. Let's see if I can pull this up for you. Where is it? Ethereum. Bitcoin did one of these moves. Look at this spike, guys. It went from 39 to $48,000. It went up almost $10,000, guys, in one day. One day. Meanwhile, Tesla went down even lower than where it was before the market opened. It went down to $840 something. Meanwhile, they're holding 9% of their assets or 13% of their assets in Bitcoin. Tesla is a steal right now. If you compare what happened to MicroStrategy, Tesla is going to be holding on to much more Bitcoin within the next few months because that's the way they wrote it in their 10K they just released yesterday. So I feel that right now, one of the biggest opportunities out there, aside from cryptocurrency, is going to be Tesla stock. Again, I mean, he's basically given us a whole nother reason to take a larger position into Tesla. So I'm super excited about that. And I think a lot of people are missing that there is going to be a definite demand for Bitcoin one day. It's going to get to the point where there's going to be a scarcity of Bitcoin. People are not going to be able to get their hands on it because there's only 900 Bitcoin that are mined every day. But meanwhile, all the funds that are coming in now, and the institutional buyers, they're gobbling all that up right away. And it's going to get to the point where it's going to be very scarce and very hard to get. So the next best thing for people to do are going to be to invest into companies that are holding on to Bitcoin. I'm just telling you, that's the way I think things are going to play out. So $40 billion represents 13% additional income for Apple, right? So if 13%, if 40 billion represents 13% additional income, we're going to be conservative and say that would increase the price of the company by 13% as well. Let's just say that. I mean, just to be, not to get into any complicated formulas to figure out discounted cash flow models or anything like that. We're just going to say that 13% increase in revenue is going to equate to 13% increase in stock value or company price, okay? It might be as high as 25% because you might get that shock factor, that wow factor, and that demand for the pure Bitcoin play that a lot of people are going to have. So the stock price today for Apple trades at about $136. So that means that just because of this, Apple can send its stock up to $150 to $200 just like that, easily. And then going forward, it'll consistently make that money every year. And the beauty of this, guys, is that Apple doesn't have to create a whole new business to incorporate Bitcoin. They already have the business laid out. The wallet's already created. All they have to do is get one of their engineers to basically just kind of tie the two together, tie the Bitcoin aspect, the cryptocurrency aspect to the wallet they already have, and they can have the world's biggest network for cryptocurrency wallets. It's just as simple as that. That's why I think it's a no-brainer for Apple to get invested into Bitcoin. So what's my prediction? Obviously, for Bitcoin, I'm going to get into that in just 1 second because I know you guys probably want to know how high can Bitcoin go and how high can Ethereum go and all these other coins. But before I do that, I just want to play a quick video for you guys because I'm not one to really kind of brag about what I've done or said in the past. But guys, I just want to play this video real quick for you because it's eerily scary how accurate my prediction was on January 6th. I just want to play this for you guys because a few days after this video came out, my first prediction came true. And then a month after this video came out, my second prediction came true. And this is crazy. Check this out. Now, my predictions for Tesla in 2021. Are you ready for this? My first prediction, which is I'm reaching a little bit. I'm being honest with you. This is a long shot. But I have a prediction that Tesla could become a $1 trillion company in 2021. That means they'll have $1 trillion market share. No, they're at 800 billion right now, guys. So it'll get there. Number two, Elon Musk will become the richest person in the world. I believe this is a very, very good possibility of it happening in 2021, because all we need is for Amazon to have an off week or an off day, and for Tesla to have a good week or a good day, and to the moon with his net worth. And that happened just a few days after this video was made. I swear I didn't think it was even possible to happen that early on, but I knew it was going to be inevitable because he is the world's smartest man, in my opinion. And number 3, the last thing I'm going to predict for Tesla in 2021 is that Tesla may take some, if not all of their holdings and put it into Bitcoin, right? Don't kill me. I'm just telling you what the buzz is around the... Okay, so that to me was really crazy how these things are coming true. The first thing about Tesla becoming a $1 trillion company, that's going to happen with the aid of Bitcoin as well. And I'll tell you why, because Bitcoin will also be able to help them offset any losses, offset any gains, so they can pay less taxes. Because the way that they're going to be using Bitcoin on their balance sheet, the accounting principles for corporations allows them to take deductions on the Bitcoin if it goes down in value. So let's just say Bitcoin did go down in value from whatever they paid for it. They can use that as a loss without having to sell it, and they can offset their taxes for that year. But if it goes up in value, they don't have to claim a gain. It just basically goes on a different part of their balance sheet, which is incredible. You and I can't do that as individual investors, but corporations can. So that maneuver right there might definitely have a great impact on them getting better. So how high can the Bitcoin price go if Apple makes this purchase? I'm sure you guys are dying to find out about that, right? And I would be curious too, right? If I'm invested into Bitcoin, I'd want to know how high is this going to go. So let's talk about it. The Bitcoin price can go astronomical. We all know that. We all have our different hopes and maybe predictions. We hear from other people. So if it goes up 20% because of their prediction, I'm just saying 20% to 50%, right? 20% to 50% increase can very much happen because we got a 20% increase from Tesla buying $1.5 billion worth of stock. Of Bitcoin. If they did the same thing, we would get a 20% increase just to be conservative, right, in the price. But if they buy more, which means that they could buy $5 billion worth, like the buzz is around town, or they can buy $10 billion, $25 billion, who knows? But let's just say if they buy $2 billion to $5 billion, the price could jump up 20% to 50%, which means we would get a $60,000 to $75,000 Bitcoin in the short run. And that's just in the short run because of their move. It's going to balloon from there. It's going to go nuts because Apple, like I mentioned, guys, is much more respected in the mainstream media. So you're not going to hear on CNBC, on Bloomberg, how dumb Elon is for putting his money in Bitcoin, putting all the investors in jeopardy. You're not going to see that with Apple, because when is the last time you heard someone talking down about Tim Cook? When is the last time you saw on these major news networks that Apple is stupid for doing this, or they're bad, or do you have short sellers or pundits in there talking all this smack about Apple? You don't see that. So if Apple were to do this, just because of Apple's move, you're going to get a $60,000 to $75,000 Bitcoin. And from then on, the sky's the limit, because every other CEO in the world is going to do the same thing. It's going to follow suit, and it'd be amazing. So today I was listening to Kathy Wood. She was doing an investor's call for ARK, if you guys know who Kathy Woods is. And she said that if all the S&P 500 companies just take 1% of their balance sheets and it would put it into Bitcoin, it would increase the price of Bitcoin by $40,000. So we're at what? Where are we right now? I think we're at like almost 50,000. Where are we right now? we're at 46,000, call it 50,000, because I'm sure it'll be at 50,000 any day now. If we get an increase of $40,000, that's going to send Bitcoin to $90,000 right there. And if they decide to do 10% allocation of their funds, which is pretty high, but they might build up to that. It's not going to happen overnight. You know, the best way to boil a frog is by turning up the heat little by little. And that's what these corporations are doing, because they don't want to scare their boards. They don't want to scare their shareholders. And they just want to kind of like ease into it. If they increase their holdings to 10%, we're talking about $400,000 increase. So we're looking at a $450,000 to $500,000 Bitcoin. That is insanity, guys. So if you're not invested yet in any cryptocurrency, guys, I strongly suggest that you go down to one of the first links. Oh, I think the camera died. Give me a sec, guys. I gotta switch cameras. Sorry, my camera just died, but I'm back. So if you're not invested into Bitcoin, guys, check out the first link down below in the description, where you can get $10 in free Bitcoin by using my Coinbase link. And I also want to tell you that this video is obviously for entertainment purposes only. Don't do anything that I'm talking about here unless you know what you're doing and you're willing to lose your money if the investment doesn't go as planned. I'm sorry, guys. Let me fix this a little bit. There we go. That's a little better. Sorry, my camera almost hung in there the whole time, but we're good now. There we are. So I guess that's my cue to end this meeting, but I just want to go over some of these comments with you guys. So Colleen says, "Holy cow!" Thank you, Colleen. Mike Hanna, Mike is so awesome. Mike is one of my clients. He's buying a house down here in Florida. He's a Jersey boy too. Thank you, Mike, for hanging out with us tonight. KC, what's going on, KC? I wish I could find something like that. I'm not sure what you're looking for, Colleen. Yeah, thank you, Michael. What do I think Tesla is going to gain in value from having $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin? Once people really understand the effect that Bitcoin is going to have on the balance sheet, and once Bitcoin starts getting very scarce, I think that just having Bitcoin alone on the balance sheet is going to make them very valuable. The other thing about Tesla too, guys, is that they have literally stated in their 10K that they will also accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. So if they're selling a car that has a 15%, 20% markup, that means that they're literally getting a discount of 15 to 20% on the Bitcoin that they're getting in exchange for it. So they might be very big holders of Bitcoin, because I'm hearing a lot of people in the space, influencers and such, who want to take Bitcoin to buy their Cybertrucks, their Roadsters, because it's not like they're gonna take their Bitcoin and just go ahead and use it and then have that much less Bitcoin. They're gonna take their cash, buy the Bitcoin, and then buy the car, because they wanna be able to say that they use the Bitcoin to do it, which is epic in my opinion to do that. So let me see what else you've got here. So I think that the value of having Bitcoin on a balance sheet right now, it's hard to say, but it's going to definitely have a humongous impact in the future, because when it does become really scarce and they're holding on to all of this Bitcoin, it's going to make their company incredibly valuable. It's going to definitely take them into that $1 trillion mark. So I don't want to take any assumptions on the value of the stock, because, you know, that can go any way. I'm still waiting for it to go down to 400 so I could load the boat, and that's not happening. Oh man, Bitcoin will be worth, what are you saying here? Bitcoin will be worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions, by 2034. Absolutely. V Knight says it'll be worth that much. I believe the last Bitcoin will be mined in 2140. So by 2140, God knows how much Bitcoin will be worth by then. Josh McKee says, Apple or Tesla? I choose I just love Elon, man. I don't know if I'm just an Elon fanboy, but I choose Tesla. I would rather buy Tesla over Apple. I just think that Tesla just has more upside. I think Apple is like kind of stagnant in innovation right now. They're trying to build a Apple car, and I feel like they're chasing right now. I feel like their innovation's kind of plateaued. Meanwhile, Elon is in his prime. So Mike says, not sure if you're getting our questions. Maybe this will, yeah, thank you for the super chat, Mike. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'll buy you a cup of coffee next time I see you. V Knight says, I'm in monetary economics nerd, and I read econ treaties for fun. I'm a former index analyst for London Stock Exchange. I also have a background in programming. I'm not just some moon boy saying that. I don't think you're a moon boy. I believe it's gonna hit 1 million, 5 million. Listen, guys, I'm just as optimistic as you guys are. As a matter of fact, one of my friends here from YouTube, who I met through doing these videos, recently told me, he's like, man, be careful, because I think you got the Bitcoin bug or the crypto bug. I was like, I think you're right. I was like, I think I drank too much Kool-Aid. Oh, good one. BTC is dropping right now. Should I buy? Yeah, let's take a quick look at BTC right now. If it's dropping, it's at $46,000. And like I told one of my course members this morning, or one of my students that's in the training that we do, she was buying today. She was buying crypto, and she's asking me the same thing. Should she buy now or wait for the dip? I said, would you be able to live with yourself if this thing skyrocketed tomorrow and hit $50,000, $70,000 because you were waiting to save a couple $100 or maybe $1,000 on it? I said, in 5 or 10 years, because you're not swing trading this stuff, right? You're not buying it today to sell tomorrow. Are you really gonna care that you got it a little bit cheaper, or are you just gonna be happy that you bought it and you had it in your hand? So that's the question you gotta ask yourself. If you're buying it for the long run, just buy it whenever you have money. I say just dollar cost average in. Buy it today, and if it drops in a week, and then buy it again. If it goes up in a week, and buy it again. Just keep buying. That's all I can tell you. I have a hard time. It's psychological, because I have a hard time sometimes buying Bitcoin after I'm used to getting it under 30,000, and now it's in the 40s, and I'm like, oh man. And I just bought some today. I just said, you know what? Screw it. What are you gonna do? Jay Priority Painting Services says, more Florida videos, please. Yeah, absolutely. I'm working right now on a Florida video for you guys. I'm not sure if you saw the last Miami one. That one's pretty cool. I'm doing one right now on Marco Island. I'm going to be doing one later on this week also in Orlando, because I'm going there for a mastermind that I have for EXP Realty. And if you guys are watching this, you guys got to look at EXPI. Oh my God, that stock has done tremendous. I actually work for the company, but I was getting stocks at $7 last year, and it's at $160 now. Even Grant Cardone has jumped on as like a spokesperson for the company. It's crazy. Yeah, so I'll get a Florida video out. My goal is to get a Florida video out every week, starting when I come back from Orlando next week. So count on that. How about Tesla and ETH? Tesla is a beast. I'm always going to continue investing in Tesla. ETH is like ETH is, you can't have Bitcoin without having ETH. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Tell me what you think, but I love ETH just as much, if not more, than Bitcoin. It's hard to say. It's kind of like having, your kids. You can't really pick between your kids, but each one has its attributes that you really love. I think Ethereum is the future. There are some other ones that are gonna come, after their throne, but I don't know. The only thing that's hurting Ethereum right now is it is so damn expensive to transact in Ethereum right now. But hopefully they're rolling out the EP 1559 update, and that'll solve that. And not only that, but it'll make Ethereum more scarce of a token to own. So I'm looking forward to that, because that's going to drive Ethereum to $27,000, $30,000, $50,000, guys. That's going to be a game changer. So make sure you hold on to some ETH as well. Josh says, I'm good at this. Thank you, Josh. I'm not too sure what I'm good at, but I just like I like presenting good financial information, man. So hopefully you guys are taking something out of this. 65,000 what? I'm not sure what question that was. In a couple of years. Well, I think that by the end of this year, Bitcoin will be in the 6 digits. I mean, 100,000 to 200,000. That's not far off. It just depends on how much adoption we get, and if we don't get Janet Yellen, crying, from the screaming from the hills about this being some kind of a fraud that we're trying to commit over here with Bitcoin, or the SEC get involved and get in all up in our business. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that ship has already sailed. There's too much mainstream adoption. There's too many funds. There's too much Wall Street involved in this right now for that to happen to Bitcoin. Could it happen to some of the smaller coins? Absolutely, just like XRP is going through right now. But I do think that Bitcoin is probably made in the shade at this point. All right. Patriot says that Bitcoin's going to 1 trillion. Let's see. Bitcoin's number 1, and then we've got Jersey here. We want more Florida videos. I'm sure you do, man, because in Jersey, you guys got like 2 feet of snow. I do not miss that at all. I really feel bad for you guys, man, and I feel guilty because I'm like in 82-degree weather. It was like 90 degrees today out here, man. It was really hot. I'm sorry to rub that in your faces, but it was definitely better than Jersey. I couldn't even believe this is February in Jersey. Josh says, so Bitcoin before any stock? I would say if you already own stock and you believe in that stock, keep it. But if you want to maximize your returns right now, I'd be looking in the crypto market. And then once the bull run is over, then take some money off the table and then go into your favorite stocks at that point. Because the only stocks right now that I'm invested in are the ones that I have a huge conviction for. As a matter of fact, I rebalanced my portfolio today and I sold off on a lot of stuff that hasn't really been performing well, and I just kept my favorite ones, and I'm going to reallocate that money into more crypto, in my opinion. Don't do what I'm saying, guys. This is just what I do. Yeah. Okay. Says BTC before any stock. You'll thank yourself. Absolutely, I believe that as well. I believe this is the future, in my opinion. I agree with that, and everyone here seems to be agreeing. But what I don't get is how does it stay valuable when it runs out? Well, the less you have of something, Josh, the more valuable it gets. That's why if you have like, let's say, I don't know, like a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card or a Michael Jordan rookie card, like those things are valuable because they're very low in circulation, like just like anything else. So the less you have the availability of something, it becomes more valuable. Same principle goes with stock. The more stock is held privately by shareholders, the more valuable it gets. The more float or the more extra stock that's floating around, the less valuable it gets. So it's just supply and demand, just like anything else. Just like toilet paper was getting expensive during the pandemic, it's all supply and demand. It says, guys, BTC is more expensive these days, and so how long before they mine it all? So the last Bitcoin is going to be mined in 2140 because every 4 years, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, is it every 4 years? Every 4 years there's what's called a halving, which means that it becomes twice as hard to mine Bitcoin. So for every block, I think right now they're getting like 12.5 Bitcoin, I think it is, for every block that's mined. So the next halving that they're going to have is going to only allow them to get 6 1/4 Bitcoin for every block that's mined. So it gets exponentially harder and harder and harder and harder to mine Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, I think they said that the last Bitcoin is going to take like over, I think, 40 years to mine or something like that. It's like, if anybody knows that statistic, just leave it in the comments. Uwe Urban says ADA will kill Ethereum. Now, I don't know if it's going to kill Ethereum. I definitely think it's a strong contender, and I do think that Cardano's approach was different than Ethereum because Ethereum just wanted to become first to market. And we know throughout history that first to market definitely gets you a place in history, but it doesn't secure you for the future. Now, Cardano, they came around in late tail end of 17, early 18. Their idea was, we want to create a blockchain that's going to allow others to build their projects with on top of us, but we don't want to release it until it's perfect. Meanwhile, Ethereum was like, let's just throw as much shit on the wall as we can and whatever sticks. Like that was their whole concept, but it seems to be working out for Ethereum, but it's taken them a long time to fix what's not working. But meanwhile, Cardano is learning from all of Ethereum's mistakes. So hopefully you guys follow me there. So I have invested I am invested in Cardano too. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and share my chart with you guys. If you guys want to take a quick look at that. Let me see if I can share this. My camera went out for a second, but I'm sure you guys will live without seeing me. Okay, so this is my Cardano chart. And I have here, they just broke they just broke some resistance that I had tracked around the 70 mark. I think it was the 76 mark, the 76 cents mark. It broke that resistance and it's crushing it right now. It's gone up as high as 80 cents today, which is good, but not still all-time high. I think we'll get to $2 this month, guys. The next level of resistance I see is at 84 cents. After that, we'll probably be somewhere at around 88 cents. And then from then on, guys, we're looking at over $1. And over that, we're looking at $1.15, and then just under $1.35. And then it's clear from there, guys. God knows where it's going to go. We probably have to look at the Fibonacci levels to see where it's going to go after that. So I see Cardano taking a... If it wasn't for Bitcoin stealing everyone's light these last few days, I think Cardano would already be at $1. I think that Ethereum would have already been at $2,000. There would have been a lot of other altcoins that have been pumping, but everyone took their money and put it in Bitcoin the last few days. So that is exactly what I think is happening there. Did I hear about Elon buying gold? I have not heard about Elon buying gold, but I think I'd believe that Elon would be buying Dogecoin before he buys gold. Correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me what you guys think. What do you guys think about that whole Dogecoin stuff? Do you think that he was doing that with a purpose behind it? What could have possibly been the reason for him to do that? Supply and demand. Yes, every 4 years, Michael says. That's the halving. So Josh McKee says, how do they actually mine these coins? I'm totally new. So they mine it by just using a ton of computing power. The first few coins that were mined when Bitcoin first came around, you could have done it on your laptop. But it gets exponentially harder and harder and harder and harder to mine these things. So if you ever go into a room where it has a miner, a Bitcoin miner, it's going to be like 80 and 90 degrees in there because it uses so much electricity. But that's also one of the things, the key things that makes it more difficult to get your hands around, because you have to expend a lot of energy to get there, kind of almost like mining in real life. And I feel like that's what gives it a lot of value as well, because it's not easy to do and it gets harder and harder. I'm telling you, this Satoshi guy who created this blockchain is pure genius. The way they created this, it's insane. It's insanity. I don't know, man. I mean, it's so perfect. I mean, even the smartest people in this world say how amazing this blockchain that was created is. So hopefully I answered your question there. Michael says miners get 6.25 BTC per valid block mined, but this reward changes roughly every 4 years or after every 210,000 blocks are mined and gets reduced by half each time. So Michael, I thought they were at 12.5 Bitcoin right now per block. Are they already at 6.25? You're probably right. Till now we have had 3 Bitcoin halvings. I think it started at 50, right? Did it start at 50 Bitcoin per block, and then it got cut to 25 and then 12.5? That's why I thought we were at 12.5 right now. How many times is the resistance correct? Well, Josh, if you're referring to the ADA resistance that I was just showing you, I'm just going based off of, let me go get back to that scene and I'll show you real quick. I think that's what you're referring to. The reason why I'm using these resistance levels is because, as you can see in the past, well, let me see if I can get back there. As you can see in the past, they've had support at these levels when Cardano had run up to these crazy numbers up here. So all of this support I'm getting from back here. Now, could they be off? They could be completely off. But they did exactly what I thought they would do after the first resistance level today, which was back here. And I saw them break this critical level that we were at before. Where were we? Let me get back to the 1 hour. Yeah, they were able to break out because they were floating around 68 cents forever, and that was really annoying. They broke out of that 76 mark. They broke out of that, and as soon as they broke out of that, they started taking off. So it's usually correct. I mean, it's not perfect science, don't get me wrong, but resistance and support is what majority of our traders use to make sure to kind of figure out where the next steps are, the next viable steps. It doesn't usually go straight there. A lot of times it consolidates and then gets there eventually, but we're definitely going to see these levels. And as soon as it breaks out of this level, the next stop, guys, is here, 83 cents. So check in tomorrow, or even by the time you wake up, it might hit 83 cents. So keep your fingers crossed if you're invested in Cardano. Okay, kind of half. May 18th, 2020 was the last halving, and yes, it's 12.5. Oh, and it was 12.5 to 6.25 now. So it's 6.25 now. Yeah, it's just getting harder and harder for these Bitcoin miners to get paid. Josh says, is it too late for that stocks you think I'm priced? I'm not sure what stocks you're talking about, but anything is better than keeping your money in the bank. So if you're looking into some of the stocks that I mentioned today, all of them are good plays. I'd buy all of them. With the exception of MicroStrategy, that one scares me because that one ran up to $1,200, guys, in like a few months. That one is insane. I think for that one, I'll wait for a pullback. I'll wait for a Bitcoin drop, and then I'll get a better price on that, because I would be interested in holding some of that. But that one's good to hold because you can hold that in anything. You can hold that in your WEBULL account. You can hold that in your Fidelity account, your IRA. That's a good way to own a little extra Bitcoin. So, all right, guys, it's getting kind of late. It's 11:30, and I got to hit the sack and get up early for another big day tomorrow. So thank you guys for being a part of this live stream today. If you guys enjoyed it, please let me know you did by giving this video a humongous thumbs up. It would mean a lot to me. If you're new here and you haven't done so yet, join the channel, guys, because we're going to be putting out a lot more great content like this. And I also will be putting out some Florida content for you guys who want to get away from the cold weather. If you guys haven't seen any of those yet, then go ahead and check out my channel. I have a bunch of videos that I did down here in Naples. People really seem to like those, and it's helped the channel grow. So I'll continue doing those just to keep you guys entertained, I would say, right? Because I get my kicks from doing these financial videos, but I seem that you guys really like those Florida videos. So I'll keep them both coming. So thank you guys for being a part of this, and I will see you next time. And have a profitable day, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.